Alright, I have a masterpiece here that is my pictures of my kids. I've got it fading in, staying for a very long time watching Jacob enjoying his chocolate ice cream, fading slowly to a picture of both of the boys looking at a really weird metal sculpture, hard cutting to Jacob in the swimming pool, and fading out at the end. Yay! Oscars, here we come. Okay, so once this is done, I want to make a master file to save the complete edit as its own entity, and then from there we're going to be able to compress it and upload it for the web. So in order to output this video, we want to choose our timeline that we're looking at. And notice that we're still working in sequence 1. We probably should rename this so that it reflects what's actually in it. So I'm going to call this Kids, not Rough Cut, let's call it Kids Masterpiece. There we go. And notice when I change the name of the sequence, which is this yellow and blue dot, two yellow and blue dots, which is supposed to look like this timeline here, that's the sequence that I'm working in. So it changes the name of this tab, and we can also see the name of this sequence up here. So we can select the sequence, or we can be down in the timeline of the sequence, either one. And we're going to go to the File menu and choose Export. Now there's a whole lot of options under export because there's a lot of different workflows that you might be working in Final Cut. For us, we're going to be making a master file. We're not going to be sending this to a lot of other tools. So all we need is this first option, export to a QuickTime movie. And that brings up a save dialog that has a few crucial bits of information. Now, the first is, as usual, where does it go? So we're in the still story folder, but I don't want it to go along with my project. I'm going to make a new folder and call it renders. This way all my finished videos will be separate, and again this folder structure will sort of make sense so I can find things a lot easier. I don't have a whole bunch of different types of files all cluttering up the same folder. So that's where it's going to go. It's going to go in our still story project folder under a folder called renders. It's going to be called kids_masterpiece. This is why I changed the name of the sequence, because otherwise it would default to saving it as sequence 1, which is completely a useless name. But I'm going to call it kids masterpiece master. And then down at the bottom, there are some very important settings. You can change 8 million different compression settings down here through this menu. But because we set our project up at the very beginning to match the type of video production we'll be doing when we get to the video camera, we're using the easy setup, we can use this and save it as current settings. This saves us a lot of headache in trying to figure out what settings we want to use when we export, so that when we set up the project, we've already told it what format we're going to be working in. You have the option to include audio and video, audio only or video only. Obviously in this option, in this project, we are not using any audio, so it's not going to matter which one of these we choose, except if we use audio only, we won't get anything. So choose video only or audio and video. Those both work exactly the same. Markers are used for when you're making DVDs or doing further compression, so we don't need any of that. And then very importantly, these next two buttons. Recompress all frames should be off. Basically what this means is even if it didn't have to do any rendering, that it should go ahead and re-crunch every single frame into the new format. And for our purposes, all this does is take up extra time. So I want to make sure that Recompress all frames is off. However, the next check mark, which says make movie self-contained, has to be on. What this does is it makes, because we're making a master file that can go anywhere, we need to make it not reliant upon the other files that are the source material. So making a movie self-contained will create a new master file that is completely portable. Okay, so to review all these settings, we have given it a name, we've told it where to save the finished file, and we've told it that it's going to be using the same settings we've been working with. It's only going to be video. We don't want it to crunch additional frames. We don't want it to take any additional time calculating stuff that it doesn't need to. And very importantly, we've told it that once it's made this file, it shouldn't require any of our original source material by making it self-contained. And then you can click Save. And it will go through an exporting process, which, because our video is very short and very simple, will not take very long. Now, to check this, I'm going to open the Finder. I'm going to go into my drive, into DFVP111, and go to the Projects folder, and the Still Story project, and the Renders folder. And in here I have now a Kids Masterpiece master file, .mov, which means it's a QuickTime file. And if I open this up, I will get a new playback with just the video itself, handily created in such a way that it can go through any other program that we want to do, compress it, upload it, have fun with it, without having to go back into Final Cut ever again.